employee refuses to come back to work. And one of the things that we've been suggesting and really emphasizing is that you want to do all of this as much as you can in writing. You want to explain to your employees all of the steps you're taking to keep them safe. But when you call them back, it is a good idea to do so in writing. The employer should ensure that the employee who is refusing to come back to work doesn't have any qualifying reasons that they're unable to return. So when I say qualifying reasons, I would really suggest that you look over your CARES Act, because there are some things, four of the top qualifying reasons. If someone has COVID or has been exposed to someone with COVID, or they are showing symptoms of COVID, or have been exposed to somebody who is showing symptoms of COVID. So, really read your CARES Act to ensure that this person who's saying they can't come back to work just isn't just saying it to avoid coming. But if the employee doesn't have a qualifying reason, the employer can notify the unemployment agency. What they're going to need to do is they're going to need to let the UIA office know, when did you call them back? What type of work did you call them back for? And that means, like, if normally somebody is a receptionist and you are calling them back to be a janitor and they refuse to work, UIA needs to know that. But, if you're calling them back to work and it's in their normal position, they also need to know that. You also want to let them know what the employee response was. So if your employee just flat out says, look, I'm doing better on unemployment right now than I was when I was working full time, not an acceptable reason to refuse coming back to work. So there are 3 ways that an employer can report this to the UIA office. You can do it through their MyWAM account. You can fill out a protest, which is, and I'm not the unemployment agency, so bear with me on some of the terminology I use. There is a form 1136, which is a weekly statement of benefit. You can protest on that the person has refused to come back to work. Or you can fill out an online form, 1733, which is another protest form, or you can, again, do it on your MyWAM account. Be aware that what will happen is that there will be an investigation into that claim. If it is found that the employee should be returning to work and that they've refused work, most likely what will happen is the unemployment will end for the employee, and there is a possibility that they'll have to pay that back. So there are consequences out there for not returning to work when you're being called. I want to talk a little bit about what are employee roles and responsibilities in returning to work. Again, I represent employers, but employees need to be aware that there are going to be some changes when they come back. What they need to really remember is that businesses have been incredibly busy working with, the health departments, the MDHSS, CDC, the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, the Saginaw Chamber of Commerce, their economic developers. They've really been working hard to ensure that when the employees do come back, they're doing it safely. From the employee standpoint, they need to know that businesses have been carefully considering source control measures. So when they come back, there's going to be social distancing rules in place. There's going to be PPE that's needed. The way that you function in your office may change. What does that workflow look like to ensure social distancing? Maybe it's not face-to-face meetings. Maybe it's more Zoom meetings. Maybe you're not working at the same time as the person who usually sits in the same cubby as you. Things may be changed even before you even walk in the door. So you may have to log in on a virtual platform to report your temperature and your symptoms and how you're feeling, or you may get your temperature taken in the parking lot. These are all things that employees just need to be aware of, and most of this is going to be covered in the return to work plans that your employers are going to go over with you, and they're required to provide a training for you so that you're comfortable with changes that are happening. So, what is the employee's role? Follow the plans that your employers put in place. They've done their homework. They're making sure that you're safe. And if you have questions or you're uncomfortable about something, express that to your employer. Don't just not show. Let them know where your discomfort is. And I'm sure, in some cases, concessions can be made and maybe some changes can be made. And the final thing that is the employee's responsibility is if you are sick or showing symptoms, do not go into work. We can't stress that enough. And I think that as you walk through businesses, you see those signs up everywhere, if you're unwell, do not return to work. And as I'm showing you right now, we are not the unemployment agency, but the other thing that I wanted to talk about is unemployment. Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works has been given the opportunity to train a bit with the unemployment agency to be able to talk about WorkShare, which is a program that, is a state program. It's created to assist employers in bringing back their staff at a reduced rate. It's not a new program. It wasn't just created because of COVID. It's been around for a while. It was mostly used by large industrial employers to avoid mass layoffs. But still, this program has been vital to bringing back the employees in our region. And I just wanted to go over just a few things. So, the program is set up so that you can bring your employees back at a reduced rate while still being able to allow them to collect a partial unemployment benefit. It's really significant to remember that the $600 federal pandemic unemployment assistance is only going to go until the end of July. So, for some of you who are struggling to find talent that, you can't get people to apply for positions, personally, my team and I firmly believe that at the end of July, people are going to realize that this temporary solution with that additional $600 of unemployment, it is in fact just that temporary. And we're going to see a mass influx of people who are looking for work again. So if you're struggling, I'm asking you to just, hold on just a little bit longer. We're doing what we can to help find your talent, but there is an end to the 600, and that is in July. The WorkShare program, and I'm going to say this kind of tongue-in-cheek, kind of loosely. So there's a lot of employee flexibility that's allowed with WorkShare, and that flexibility really comes more in the front end when you're designing your WorkShare program, because once you have a WorkShare program plan that is approved, the flexibility really goes away. You can't make adjustments that kind of fly by the seat of your pants throughout the week. If you need to make changes, then you have to do a modification that has to get approved. So as you're designing your WorkShare plan, we ask that you do it carefully, but it is flexible. So the employer has the ability to choose who is in the WorkShare plan themselves. An employer can set up as many plans as they would like, as long as each plan has a minimum of 2 people who are in the plan. So if you wanted to set up, a plan for first shift, maybe they're reduced by 40% their hours, and then second shift is reduced by 50, and maybe third shift is reduced by 60. You can do that. You can set it up so you have 4 plans on first shift and 3 plans on second. All of this is done at the scrutiny of the employer. It's what will best meet your needs. So for example, you may assume that your maintenance crew will be returning at 50% because there's a higher need for them to do the cleanings, to do all of the back work of keeping the facility clean. And maybe your reception area, because there's not as much of a need, maybe your front office workers, maybe they're coming back at 20%. So you set your plans up accordingly so that your employees can come back with their hourly wage, but they'll be getting that assistance also through the unemployment agency. Just to kind of give you an idea of some of the differences between WorkShare and unemployment, normal unemployment that people file, all of the certification or certifying of hours will be done on the employer side. So your employees will not actually log into their MyWAM and log and certify their hours. Through WorkShare, the employer does that, and it's on a Saturday that you're supposed to log in and take care of those things. But the hours and wages can be reduced by as little as 10%, but all the way up to 60%. And again, employers can create their plans to meet what their individual needs are. It's really important to point out that normal unemployment, and I say normal, is 26 weeks long. We've had employers call us and say, can I just, have my workers come back and then they can just do the difference in normal unemployment. And you can do that. But with the work-share program, you can set this plan up for 52 consecutive weeks. So as an employer, we don't want to see our people, the people who work for us, struggle to make ends meet because unemployment is run out. So by setting up a 52 consecutive weeks, that gives you the breathing room you need as the employer to get everything back up to full production, as well as reducing the stress of worrying about whether or not everybody's unemployment has run out or things of that nature. So the plan can end at any time. And this is really important to remember, because if you set up your plan and you say that you're going to need it for 24 weeks, and after 12 weeks you reevaluate and things are going really good and you feel like, I think we're back at 100% production, I'm not concerned about this, I'd like to end it, there's absolutely no penalty to that. So as you're designing it, I always say plan for the worst and be excited about the best, right? You can create a new plan at any time. You can include part-time people in your plan. The employer just has to say, a part-time worker, their hours are 32 hours and we're going to reduce it by 10%. You just need to be able to identify what those hours are. There are a couple of things that you can't do. While people are inside these plans, you can't transfer them. I can't transfer someone from the first shift plan to the third shift plan. They have to stay within the identified plans. You can't lay anybody off who's inside a plan. And you can't make changes to the fringe benefits of an employee while they're as they're part of a work-share plan. So those are important things to know. The other thing that's really important that can totally end your work-share is that if your employees are part of a collective bargaining unit, make sure that you're communicating with that bargaining unit representative. Let them know what's going on. If you do not, then that will end your work share, and it won't be approved. And honestly, the bargaining unit, they want their people working just as much as you want them working, and so we haven't come across anybody who's really had a problem with any of the plans that are out there. So just to give you an idea, if your normal employees' operations were $1,000 a week, under work share, they're retained at a 30% reduction. I'm telling we're going to bring them back, but it's at 30% less of their hours and wages. So salaries would then be $700 a week from me, the employer, plus they get 30% of their state unemployment. And until the end of July, they'll also receive their $600 federal benefit. So as you can see on the right side of your screen, if we were to set this up to the end of June at least, with the work share plan, I'm bringing my employees back and they're making about $1,400 a week. If I was doing it with just full unemployment, it would be $962. So that's quite a difference for employees. I wanted to go over, we've been talking about work share quite a bit, and we have gotten a lot of questions from employers, and it's funny, you go through all the trainings and they tell you this is how work share works, and then employers ask us questions and we're like, where did this question come from? So we kind of wrote down, my team and I kind of brainstormed a little bit on some of the questions that we were asked that maybe, might be kind of working in the back of brains. And if I can, address a couple of these, I think that this might be of assistance to some of the employers out there. One employer said, we generally work 52-hour weeks, but I want to call my staff back at 40%. So do I qualify? No. Because 40 hours a week is full time, so you're really not bringing them back at a reduced rate. You pay overtime, and overtime is not allowed under work share. If you plan to work 20 hours a week, but you ended up doing 30 hours because you had an unexpected increase in your production, what do you do? For that week, you wouldn't certify because you didn't meet your plan qualifications. So your employees would just receive whatever it is that you pay for them, their normal salaries that you would pay for the 30 hours. They wouldn't receive the extra unemployment. When we're talking with employers, one of the ways, if you're anticipating that you may have to like increase your production for a short period of time and then reduce it back down, one of the ways that you can set something up is to create a plan that has kind of staggered, instead of just having one plan for first shift, one plan for second shift, you may have a couple plans in first shift and a couple plans in second shift. That way you can ensure that that first group only worked 20 hours and that second group only worked 20 hours. That way everybody continues to be on the work share plan. So if you stagger your plans a little bit, and we can help with, figuring some of that out, that usually kind of avoids that situation. So the question, when would an employer certify? You can do that as you normally would with your payroll. So if you pay biweekly, you can certify biweekly. If you pay weekly, you can certify weekly. Just make sure that you do it on Saturday, which is the end of the work share week. The big question that we have been getting quite a bit is, can I use PPP with work share? I've been on several conference calls where this question kind of gets avoided a little bit and people tiptoe around it. You can use them together, but you really need to make sure that you're meeting the hours that you are supposed to get your loan forgiveness. It's really important that you really break down how many hours everybody is working to meet the PPP loan. One suggestion that's been made and that we have been also making is that, use up your PPP loan, make that to completion, and then start a work share program afterwards. They're great to kind of piggyback against each other, but yes, you can run them congruently together. Again, you just have to really be careful and make sure that you're meeting everything you're supposed to with the PPP to ensure your loan forgiveness. The question that we get a lot too is, how long is it going to take to be approved? We've been told that it takes a week. But recently, and I'm so happy to say this, employers are saying that it's taking 24 to 48 hours or less. We worked with a manufacturer in Saginaw County last week who, as we were putting in their plan, they had 7 total plans. And by the time we completed the first plan, they started the second, they had already gotten approved on their first. So I think that UIA is really picking up pace and speed, especially with the work share, to get those approvals for employers. But it's always best to plan for that full week of approval, so that you're not in a position where you need it tomorrow and it's not available. Another question that we get asked, and I didn't put this on the slide, was, will military benefits affect whether or not a person can receive work share? No, it should not affect it, but they do suggest that you call, and the number on your screen is the Office of Employer Ombudsman line. You might want to write this down. If you call this, you can listen to the whole thing, or you can hit option 7, which puts you straight into the work share line, where you can talk to a work share specialist, or you can call our office. Go to our website at michiganworks.com, connect with me. Let any of the ladies with the Saginaw Chamber know that you need to connect with us, and they'll get you in touch with us. I can't emphasize enough how much we are ready to get back to work in the Great Lakes Bay region, and I'm really excited to say that I think that most of our employers and a lot of our workers are also. So with that, I think I'm done. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. Hi, everyone. My name is Susan Moody. I'm the Senior Director of Memberships and Sponsorships for the Saginaw Chamber. Thank you for joining us today. We'd like to open the floor for question and answers. Please use the question and answer section at the bottom of your screen. I'll be monitoring that. This is new for all of us, so please bear with me. if we have any questions. We've got some new members with us today, some existing members, and some folks who are not yet members of the Chamber. So welcome, everyone. We're so happy for you to join us today. Cheryl, I don't see any questions, but folks, we're a small group today, real informal. Please feel free to type in those questions and we'll get them over to Cheryl or try and get those answered for you hopefully today or yet tomorrow. If we don't have the answers, we'll find out for you as well. So thank you again, Cheryl, for your time. We really appreciate your help today. And now I'd like to turn this over to President of NetSource One and Saginaw County Chamber of Commerce board member, Andy Skripchek. Andy, I'm gonna unmute you now. So I'll turn the floor over to you. And again, if you have any questions during the presentation, just use that question and answer section. Thanks, everyone. Welcome, Andy.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you see my screen? I'm starting to share now. I think we're okay. Okay, well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to folks today. I know it's a rather small audience. I've put together some information about implementing innovative solutions in the workspace or in the workplace, and try and keep it small. We don't have a lot of time, so I'm just gonna move into this as quick as possible here. My name is Andy Skripchak. Thank you again, Cheryl and Leslie, for sponsoring today's event. Cheryl, that was a lot of great information. Appreciate that. NetSource One is a premier managed service IT provider here in headquartered in Saginaw. We have additional offices in Troy, Michigan, as well as Cleveland, Ohio. Don't blame me about that. Cleveland just happened. I'm also the owner and president, or vice president, sorry, of N1 Discovery. That's a digital forensics, e-discovery, and IT security firm located in Troy, Michigan, with offices in Cleveland and Texas. I happen to lead up the incident response team. And so a lot of my experience comes from dealing with security-related events such as ransomware. So I'm going to touch base on that a little bit today. Formerly, before that, in a different life, I was a weapons developer for the U.S. government, designed weapons for the Navy, Marine Corps, and Special Operations groups. So I'm going to get started with the presentation. It's going to be a little bit interactive. I do want to mention some of our clients on the N1 Discovery side of the house. Some of them you may know: 5 Hour Energy, Colt Firearms, MGM Casino. We work with a lot of the major law firms throughout the state of Michigan and Ohio. So we're doing a lot of really cutting edge work there in terms of ransomware recovery efforts and things of that nature. Today's agenda, really 3 main topics: protecting your workers from COVID-19 related email threats. And we see a lot of that, both preventative and also reactive, unfortunately. We're going to talk about different ways of securing today's distributed workforce and using technologies currently available to do that. And then also, how do we communicate with this distributed workforce? Technology plays a vital role supporting all this. And I'm afraid to say the distributed workforce is going to be here for a very long time, if not forever. So today we've got some high-level guidance that's going to kind of walk us through all these topics, hopefully help some folks maybe start thinking about different ways of doing things in their business. The distributed workforce that we're going to talk about, kind of a small brief checklist of what you can do. And then on the communicating with the distributed workforce, we're going to actually show some demos of how we do that kind of stuff. So a live demo, so hopefully that'll all work out and the demo gods are with me today. So let's get started with the agenda. Protecting workers from COVID-19. COVID-19 has brought an almost 300% increase, according to the FBI, in phishing and other financial fraud schemes. N1 Discovery used to average about 1 data breach case every 3 months. That has increased, oddly enough, to about 1 a month. And I can tell you from experience, they are very, very damaging to employers and employees. It takes a long time to recover. Ransomware demands are in high six-figure ranges. We're seeing upwards to $1 million in some cases. These are not to be messed with. It's very serious, and it doesn't matter how big of a business you are. I've seen ransomware cases with companies that have less than 20 employees. So it doesn't matter who you are. Everybody's a target. But we're going to show you some simple techniques to help you be safer with that. So the first thing I'll say is anti-spam is not enough. You've got an anti-spam solution, whether you're using Office 365's built-in anti-spam protection or Barracuda or some of the other ones that are available out there. That's not enough. It's a good start. It knocks down a lot of the noise, but it's not enough. It's nowhere nearly enough. Most ransomware cases start with an email. So that is very critical. And it's one of the next safest things you can do is make sure your users are trained on a consistent, regular basis with recognizing what a bad email looks like. And we'll talk a little bit about that, and I'll actually show you some emails. One other thing I like to mention with folks is to slow down. A lot of us, especially executive level folks, they're inundated with lots of emails a day. They can just see the scroll bar in their inbox just keep moving while they're trying to read email. It's amazing how much email we get. But I encourage everybody to stop, slow down, watch all the links and attachments that are coming in on emails. Everybody is subjected to these attacks, everybody. And some of the folks on this phone call or this webinar right now have probably been victims of some of these attacks. Nobody is immune. So please stop, slow down, watch what you're doing. One of the other benefits I like to do, and this happened actually with my finance manager, she actually called me. I was on vacation. She called me and said, hey, where do you want the, I think they were Amazon gift cards. Where do you want those delivered? To your house or to the office? And I went, what Amazon gift cards? And she went, I thought this wasn't legit. And she almost fell victim. She almost ordered the Amazon gift cards. Even a person that works for an IT company that goes through all the training can sometimes get caught with that. So again, slow down. Let's move on to more specific. The phishing attacks right now are making up 90% of all successful breaches. And a phishing attack is simply an email attack that's targeting certain individuals in your company. It's made to look like a legitimate email. It could be from a coworker or appear to be from a coworker. It could be from a vendor that you work with on a regular basis. Not that long ago, FedEx, some of those, there were some pretty big campaigns that looked like FedEx shipping receipts and or Amazon receipts. A lot of people order stuff online, and they are looking at emails without even paying attention and clicking on links, and that's how they're being attacked. What we are seeing a huge spike in during the COVID-19 outbreak is an increase in state-sponsored attacks. So what I mean by that is countries that are not necessarily friendly are sponsoring these attacks. The most recent one was on June 21st, and it was sponsored by North Korea using LinkedIn as the platform. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of us that participate on LinkedIn that click on links that you assume are safe. You can't do that anymore. These are very cleverly crafted news stories, links. A lot of them have to do with job offers. So, you know, when you're out there clicking, and you have to be careful what you're clicking on. There's about a dozen published ransomware teams out there right now that are doxing you, which is essentially an additional form of blackmail that they're doing. So not only do you have to pay up your ransomware to get your data back, if you don't do it, they're going to release your data to the public. And I've included some good reference links at the end of this presentation that you're welcome to jot down that show the top 12 ransomware teams that are out there doing that right now. It's a word of caution, folks. Just slow down when you're reading your emails. We're constantly under attack. I know our Barracuda spam firewalls, we have multiple of them running in the cloud, and they handle thousands of these types of things, and there's always something that gets through. Doesn't matter. Something will get through to your users. So please be careful. Work with your IT folks. You can fine tune those types of things to knock down that attack vector, but you're not going to eliminate it 100%. So please use caution. I would encourage the use of, we use a solution called Know Before training. That has done very well for us. It keeps all of our users very aware of all of the phishing campaigns that are out there, as well as other methods of attack. But we don't have enough time to get into those. I'd like to show you a sample email and what I like to call the 8 red flags, things that you should be looking at. And and some of you may already know these things, but maybe some of you will learn some things. So let's bring up an email, and I'll kind of show you. This is from a vendor. And so the first thing, one of the very suspicious things that we see is the date field. Sometimes those emails have a date and timestamp that don't make sense. If you weren't expecting, like say, an email from Lisa at the chamber at 3 a.m. in the morning, something's wrong. That's probably not a real email. It could be just an impersonation of her, but just check that out. The from field, do you know the person? Does the name match what you know their email address to be? Sometimes that's a real easy red flag to determine, nope, that's not a legitimate email. The subject field, is it something you were expecting? Is it something that vendor or employee or customer has sent before? That's always a dead giveaway. The to field, sometimes if you mouse over that, the name doesn't match the email address. That's a dead giveaway. A lot of these state-sponsored attacks have very difficult time with the English language and the nuances there. So sometimes the greetings, and even though this email doesn't have necessarily a greeting other than a first name, some of them are dead giveaways. The grammar is just all wrong, and it just, that should be a dead giveaway for you. Of course, the content, the links, all of those, you should mouse over those, make sure the domains make sense to you, they point to the right area. Like this itopia.com down here is coming from a different address than the itopiacloud.co. Now, it just so happens that that's actually one and the same company, but that could have been totally different. That's a dead giveaway. And just please don't click on register now buttons or download this PDF, or if you don't know the sender, you don't recognize the name, delete the email or notify your IT staff and delete the email. We can always get the email back if we want to look at it, but you're better off just deleting the email. If you want to make sure, the safest course of action is pick up the phone, call the vendor, call the customer, call your employee or employer and say, did you send me this email? And oftentimes they'll say, no, I didn't send that. Okay, well, we've got a problem. So please use caution. Okay, moving on. Beyond email, there's a lot more that we have to secure with our distributed workforce. And I've put together a brief checklist today. COVID-19 has accelerated the future of cloud technology. There's no doubt about that. Many of us were using bits and pieces of cloud, but now that most of us, the new normal is working from home or some sort of a remote location, cloud is here to stay. And what we're finding is that many in the workforce are telling us that they want to stay working remotely. And especially true for the younger workforce that's out there. So you may find not only your current staff, but you may find new employees that really would prefer that they work from home, or at least a portion of the time work from home. So we have to do things to be ready to work like that. So I put together a brief checklist here. And this is not an all-inclusive checklist, but these are some of the easier to understand, higher bang for your buck type checklist here. And everybody probably knows what a VPN is, or a virtual private network. And that's how we are a very essential part of maintaining a safe network connection. And that's where an employee first logs into a mobile device, a web or a desktop application, and they use an encrypted tunnel or a VPN tunnel to connect the two locations together. And that way the traffic running across that is encrypted and safe. So bad guys on the internet can't get to you. Some of the next evolution of that type of technology is called network as a service. And that incorporates additional critical features that actually allow us to separate users even within a company, as well as using other technologies like secure web gateways and stuff. I think you'll see more of that coming, but not yet. Especially not in the small business market. We'll see that more in enterprise, and that'll leak its way down into the small and medium business size. One of the best ways to secure yourself is don't use unsecured Wi-Fi connections. I know they're convenient. I know most of you are running around with your handheld devices, your laptops, your phones, your tablets, and you guys will connect to any Wi-Fi signal that you can find. And I'm here to tell you that is one of the easiest ways to simply steal your information. So this is more about protecting yourself as well as your employer. Don't use unsecured Wi-Fi. If you're in a jam, tether your phone, create a secure connection there, or purchase your own MiFi device. You can get those right down at the Verizon store here in the corner. It's an excellent way to be able to travel and know that you're connecting to a secure Wi-Fi network. In addition to that, 2 layers of authentication. We call that 2-factor authentication, or in some cases, multi-factor authentication. This is where you're simply adding on top of a username and password, you're presented with another level or another layer of authentication. Typically, it's a code you enter. It could be an application on your phone that you click, okay, this is me. This has become a standard. Not that long ago, it was an optional piece of security. Now it's a requirement. I tell everybody, anything that is important to you should have multi-level authentication turned on. You can use products from anything from a Google Authenticator to Azure, a Microsoft Azure to Cisco Duo. Anything like that will work. There's several very low-cost alternatives out there too. So even your own private banking, things like that, please use multi-level authentication. As we have this distributed workforce, more and more people are bringing their own device. They're using their own computers at home. They're using their own laptops, their own iPads, and things of that nature. And a lot of organizations used to frown on that, but now it's almost to the point where we have to allow it. Studies have proven and shown that employees are more productive, as much as 30% more productive if they're using their own devices. However, that flexibility brings security concerns, and companies need to be able to manage these devices easily. Microsoft has several tools. We'll talk about some of that later, but Microsoft and other organizations have several tools that make this easy. So you know not only who is connecting, but that their devices are safe and they're not inducing any viruses or other backdoor technologies that hackers can use to access your corporate network. So it's very important that we secure those BYOD devices. And then probably one of my favorite topics is virtual desktop infrastructure, or VDI for short. We have several of our clients that utilize VDI technologies, and when COVID-19 hit and the stay-at-home order was issued, the transition from working in-house to at home was nearly seamless for these organizations. They were connecting to their own virtual desktop safely, securely, and it only required an internet connection. Now, I can tell you that if some of you will remember, the early parts of this COVID-19 stay-at-home work order saw many of the major carriers, Charter, Comcast, AT&T, Verizon, all of them had network issues. They were not ready for the sheer amount of usage going on in their network. And it took them the better part of a couple of weeks to get all get all the cobwebs out of it. But so far, it's been running fairly smooth, with the exception of some outages caused by power and weather and things of that nature. It's been fairly smooth. So people are feeling very comfortable that they can work remotely as long as they're given the secure tools that that they need to do their job. So we have about, well, last count, over about 1,000 users that are running VDI technologies out of our data center here in Saginaw. And that's people from the West Coast out in Seattle, all the way over to the East Coast in New York City, Florida. But most of the users are here in the Michigan area, and they were working pretty much uninterrupted this entire time. So VDI technologies are here to stay. I think you'll see a lot more adoption of virtual desktop infrastructure type technologies. There's many solutions out there, but the generic term is VDI. And I want you to just, that's kind of the takeaway. There's a lot of different vendors out there that have solutions. I'm actually going to show you a recorded VDI session just so you can kind of see what it's all about. There's nothing real sexy about it, but it is safe, secure, very flexible, and allows you to pretty much work from anywhere. And that's what's nice about it. So with that said, I'd like to hop into a virtual desktop. And this is not a live demonstration. I actually captured this video from my house last night and pasted it into the presentation here. So I just want to show you what this is all about. So here's a screenshot of me entering in my credentials. There's my Active Directory credentials. Now in the background, what you don't see is I'm entering my two-factor authentication in. So I do that, I say who I am, I click OK, everything's good, and then it goes off and it's going to fire up my virtual desktop. And that's my virtual desktop at the office here. And I can connect to that from anywhere. The nice thing is, you can see here, I've got a lot of applications just sitting on the desktop, very easy for me to get access to. A lot of the tools I use as an IT professional to connect to my other clients that I service on a daily basis. Very nice. And this is a very safe, secure, it's just like I'm using a regular PC. I can get to this from an iPad. I can even run it on my phone if I want. It's not very practical just because of the size of it. But the nice thing is VDI technologies offer you a lot of flexibility in terms of controlling what a user uses for their BYO device, but you're controlling their desktop at the office. It's kind of nice. You can run those desktops in the cloud, such as Amazon. You can run them in Azure, or you can run them in your own private data center. That's where we run them from. So anyway, I'd like to move on now to how you know, we've secured our workforce, but how do we communicate with them? How do we collaborate with them? And I'd like to really focus on one of my favorite tools, and that's Microsoft Teams. I'm sure you've seen a lot of ads on TV. There's a lot of different solutions that are available on the marketplace, but I want to focus just on Teams. That's what we use. That's what a lot of our clients use, both previously and during this pandemic. And we're seeing basically everybody waiting in line, you know, get me signed up, get me signed up. Microsoft is offering, I think even now, a personal version of Teams for free. So you may be interested in that. But you know, how do we use Teams? It's a collaboration tool for all of our workers, from everybody down from C-level folks all the way down to frontline workers. You can have meetings on it. You can share files. There's a way to make phone calls and video chat. Healthcare workers are using it for telehealth. Teachers are using it for remote learning. So it's an excellent way to share files, just to call people, video chat with them, see how they're doing. I've never been a big fan of video until the COVID-19 hit, and you know, people need to see other people, need to talk to them, and this has been an excellent way to do it. It's not the only tool out there that does this, but this happens to be the one I'm going to talk about today because it is one of my favorite. So, you know, what is Teams? It's a hub, it's a framework, it's an entry point into a whole lot of tools on the back end. But I want to talk about some of the features and functionality that are available with this. You can have meetings and call people. You can chat with them just like a regular chat application. You can upload files. You can share files with each other. You can have workflows and apps in here. You can tie in your CRM system, all kinds of things. And uh, as we use this tool, we learn more and more about what we can do. So what I'd actually like to do is show you what my Teams looks like and just give you a quick live demonstration. I'll make it brief. So let me bring up my Teams here. And I've got a team on the left here, and it's just a demonstration team, and I only have one person in there, and that's Scott Halstead. I can do a video chat with Scott. I can call him right from here. I can chat with them. I can say, "Hi, Scott." We can share files back and forth. One of the really cool things is you can actually send emails to this. So you can simply click on the channel. You can say get email address, copy that address, and then if you received an email, you can actually forward the email. And this happens to be an email from Susan Moody here that had a couple of attachments. So this is an excellent place to store information so it doesn't get lost in your inbox. People are getting away from email. This is a much better way to organize conversations and invite people to do things. This also has the ability to have files listed here. So I can actually, copy files right here. I can upload them. I can download them, share them with anybody that's in the team. I can also add custom tabs here. This is actually a live monitoring software that we have. This is one of my banking clients up in northern Michigan, and these are live data streams of 9 of their firewalls, and if they're up or down, I can drill down into here and look at statistics and all that, and I never have to leave my Teams application, which is very nice. I can also create a planner tab, which lets me create tasks. I can assign the task to people, and I can look at charts to see how well I'm doing. And very, very easy to work. I can even schedule the tasks here. So for small projects that you're trying to keep track of things, this is an excellent tool to keep everybody focused. So you're not missing out on what we talked about last week. It's all right here. It's very easy to access. So with that, let me return back over to the presentation. And that pretty much wraps it up, given our time frame here, leaving a little bit of time open for any questions. I've provided my contact information there. Feel free to give me a shout on email, or you can call my direct line. So I guess I'll turn it back over to you, Susan.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Oh my gosh, great information. Here at the Chamber, we've been victim to some of those phishing emails, and they are very convincing.
Yes.
And and that Microsoft Teams, we've got the Chamber staff on this webinar today, and I think you just sold all of us because we work so collaboratively, and going through, emails and catching up with conversations, is frustrating. So I think.
Yeah, one of the nice things that I didn't have a chance to talk about is Teams just expanded their video, so you can actually have 9 people in a video like a Brady Bunch style now. Before it was just 4,
cool.
Now it's 9. It's kind of nice, but the video is nice to see people and get stuff done. But again, the collaboration aspects of that, it's fully integrated with all the other Office applications, so you can run spreadsheets inside there. You can collaborate on Word documents together. SharePoint, all kinds of stuff. So it's a fantastic tool. I highly encourage it.
Awesome. Well, we have just a couple minutes for questions. I am monitoring that. Go ahead and type away, folks, if you have some questions for Andy. If you thought of something for Cheryl, we can get that to her as well. So while you're typing, I'm just going to say a few thank yous here. So thanks, Cheryl and Andy, for joining us today and sharing that important information. And thanks, Cheryl. Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works for being our events series sponsor, and for Covenant Healthcare for being our speaker sponsor today. It's so great to be able to connect in this way and get back with members. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be like this for a while, so our next few series will be through webinar and electronic. But before we go, I wanted to let you know that the Chamber will be holding another virtual percolator breakfast. We've moved the date due to the holiday. We're going to meet on July 16th. So watch your emails for invitation because you do need to register to participate. The Chamber is going to continue to provide ongoing communication through our website at saginawchamber.org and our newsletter, the At a Glance. Hopefully you're getting those communications and email updates. We want to thank you for participating in today's webinar, and we hope that you all continue to be safe and healthy, and we look forward to a new way of doing things. I guess we'll be seeing you electronically for a while. Have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you all for joining us today. I don't see any questions, Andy, so I think that's a wrap. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Bye.